Hello art friends, welcome back to Paperlicious Designs. Melisa here. Today's video was completely unplanned. I'd just done a video using MAREMI Small Art supplies, and then I noticed Marta had a live coming up. And when I watch Marta's lives, I always create along with her. I'll post a link to the video below in the description box. So I'm calling the theme of Marta's live stream Loving Kindness, because that pretty much sums her up. She wanted everyone to be able to participate, so she offered free printables for us to download, print, and create with. These are the printables. I think I ended up using parts of 4 of these in my project. I'll post a link in the description box to Marta's store page where you can find them. At the top are some links in a black border. Click on the free printable DigiPapers link. When you click on each printable, a box will pop up. If you want to enter a donation for each one, you can. If not, enter 0 and the downloadable will be available. So the main quote on today's art journal entry is, "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see." I love that because today I hope I'm going to help you see how to alter these images a little and make them even more awesome. I started by creating my Ephemera Clusters. I spent a good bit of time on the little details of creating these. The images are of items that are layered and dimensional. I immediately started thinking about how I could really make them more dimensional. So I printed 3 pages of the sheet with the clipboards and the images with the washi tape. And then for the clipboard, I deconstructed it by cutting it into 3 pieces. Then I inked the edges and then put it back together again. But before I adhered it all back together, I cut the flower from the bottom layer, and then I used a little bit of glue at the base of the flower where the stem is connected to adhere that part down, and then I popped the rest of the flower up with a little piece of paper that I had folded in half, and that just gave that just a little bit of dimension as well, but it wasn't as thick as the foam tape. And then I used 3D foam tape to kind of pop up that last piece that was on top. I used the same technique of deconstructing or cutting pieces apart, inking, and putting it all back together in other areas of the layout as well. Another example is the quote box on the right page. I cut apart the different layers of the washi tape, inked them, and then put them back together. And again, I used foam tape to pop up the top layer. I also cut the word art and the flower in the left upper corner out of one of the extra pages and then popped those up as well. I printed 1 sheet of the butterflies in words as a 5x7 so that I'd have some smaller butterflies and variation in the size of the words. I also loved the frame, but the floral graphic didn't go with the dried flowers. So I decided to remove the inside of the frame, ink the edges, and add the dried flowers inside of it. The back is a piece of the music paper set Marta shared with us. Here I'm using the same technique with the washi tape of deconstructing, inking, and then adhering it back together, popping up the top layer with foam tape. After getting the basic arrangements of my clusters together, I spent some time shifting the elements around, looking for other pieces that I could add to them. Notice the smaller words. It was a little bit of a challenge for me to figure out how to print the PDF files 5x7, but it was totally worth it. Varying the sizes of the butterflies and the words totally changes the look of the layout. So I inked all the edges of the little words, inked and layered the other washi tape word elements, and finished adhering my cluster elements together. And now it was time to start the background. I wanted to start with some texture, so I adhered some paper doilies and pieces of this fiber element that I found in my stash to the page. It's really old, so I have no idea where I got this stuff from. I wanted more of a neutral background on this layout, so I used Master's Touch Warm Gray. It's actually not gray, but more of a tan color. I mixed it with some white to lighten it a little bit. I'm using the same 2-step, 2 shades technique I talked about in the last video to get this look. The second layer was just a tiny bit of the Golden's Burnt Umber that I put on the makeup sponge. Very small amount. And I'm using Marta's Broken Mandala stencil again. I'll be glad when she opens the store back up so I can get some more of her stencils. Marta sells beautiful rice paper images, stencils, and stamps she's designed in her store. The name of the store is MAREMI Small Art. I should know this because I've ordered 2 other times, but I think she ships out of Ireland, but I've never had any problems getting my order. I live in Texas. I used Marta's text stamp set on the last project, but this time I'm using it a little bit differently. I stamped the images on tissue paper first with Palette Noir Burnt Umber ink. It's waterproof. Then tore the tissue and adhered it with matte medium. I liked the control I had doing it this way. I decided to add some paint splatters next. And I did that by mixing some water with some of that warm gray. I also splattered on some white. I used Liquitex Heavy Body paint and then watered it down to create my white splatters. In my last video, I used a paintbrush to create splatters. I totally forgot I had a splatter tool. I think this one is made by Tim Holtz and Ranger, and it makes really good splatters. After the background dried, I was ready to add some shadows around my elements. I started by adding some of the same Master's Touch warm gray that I had mixed with a little bit of water. And then I ended up going back with my Stabilo All pencil in black and making it a little darker. The brush I'm using is very firm. It's called a scrubber, so you can actually push with it as well. While you're watching this part of the video, I want to share with new viewers that I have more videos organized in my library by either major manufacturer of the products used or the type of project or technique. I'm starting a new playlist with projects designed using free printables. This is actually my second video using free printables. The first one was an art journal layout using free printables from Sean Petit. I'll link it in the description box, and just click the Show More button below the video to expand that box so you can see the information. That wraps up today's video. I hope you were inspired. Don't forget to hop over to Marta's channel and let her know how much you appreciate the free images. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd appreciate you liking it and leaving a quick comment. If you'd like to receive email updates on all my projects, check the description box below the video on how to do that. You can unsubscribe at any time. See you next time.